Hi folks, this is beginning of part 3 with it. I should have done this earlier. Logging into the virtual desktop to access the Animate software with it. You have to go through and do multiple stuff with it. So since I have it here, I just want to make sure you sign in with your E7 at student.deccccd.edu with it because that's something that is, I don't know, they make you do this a couple of times with it. So it does get kind of annoying with it, but I'm not the administrator, so please don't kill the messenger in this. So again, I just want to demonstrate there's a layer that you have to log into, is the Adobe software layer, and then there is the Dallas College virtual desktop login to access your Adobe with it. So I don't know why they won't allow you to do it once, but that's just the way how it is with it. So I'm going to log in with my E7, and then this is the Adobe with it. Once you're here, you got to do your Dallas College E7 and your student. This is my account, so you have your account, right? So keep it as one account with it. Once you have this logged in, you're ready to go. So this is really good. At the beginning, I want to capture this in the beginning of first time logging into this. I didn't get this message on here, but if you do or you haven't, by now you should, but if first time you're logging into Animate, you're welcome to click on yes, and they have a little short 30-second video for you. I'm not going to play it. It's just kind of I'll let you run. It's a minute video. It talks about the skeleton and how you can use Animate and 2D animation with it as well. So do watch this. This is really good with it. Get yourself a pair of earbuds or iPods and so you don't disturb everybody when you do this. So when you get to here, this is what we're going to do today. Is I'm going to talk to you about how to set up a skeleton with it, what's called a skeleton with it. And when you're doing in the game engine, I'm going to use the game engine because that's where a lot of animation, 3D animation takes place with it. Now you're doing what's called 2D animation with it. So I would like for you to, for class exercise number 3, part B, or second part. The first part we did was animating this little doll's head wobbling back and forth. The second part we're going to do is the octopus that's actually going to animate and fly off the screen like this. So let me just click on this. We're going to animate the octopus or the squid that's going to leave the screen like that with it. So in 2D animation, what you want to give it is a lot of layers and depth with it, and there's concepts that things are closer to the screen, they're bigger. Things are away from the screen, they're smaller, and they are they're fuzzy, they're not clear. So that's the perception depth to a 3D. So let me give you, for example, this tutorial with it. If you notice, what's closest to us is the starfish or this seahorse. They're closer to us, so you could see it bigger and closer, just exactly you would see in a 3D environment if you're underwater and wearing goggles, and you can see the visibility of it. The things are further away, layers like this, behind it, smaller, fuzzier, that type of concept with it. So if you look at this fish, the size is smaller than the starfish, right? Because we want to depict its distance away. So this is what we're doing, is we're animating this octopus here, and it looks like this with it. Again, you're welcome to follow along with it. What I find is that when you're doing this with it, there's no audio. It's just a really click with it. You don't know what you're doing. So I talk behind it is the concept of this. If you understand this concept, and later on if you do a 3D class or a game programming class with me, it's the same concept. It's a lot easier to understand now for 2D before you get to 3D. When I do 3D, when I start teaching 3D, I have to teach 2D animation first, and then you go to 3D. So 2D animation is basically X and Y coordinates with it, right? When you get to 3D animation, it's the Cartesian coordinates, which is the third coordinates, the Z-axis, right? So it gets a little bit more complicated when you get to 3D with it, because you have to follow, if you remember, the right hand rule and all that stuff with it. So we'll get, that's far and beyond this course with it, right? So this is what you're trying to achieve, is this. Now this particular tutorial that they have built in here has a little bit more layers than the last one. The last one only had the head, and it has only the body, head, or the trunk of the doll with it as well. This has multiple layers with it, and the way how you want to envision this layer is the top layer is the layer closest to you. The layer at the bottom, aquarium BG, aquarium underscore BG, that's the furthest away from you. So you could hide a lot of this stuff. Let's say if I went in, I can click on that, I can hide it. It's still there if I click on the eye, or any one of these layers. Or I can lock any one of these layers and work on the individual animation itself. That doesn't move it. Alright, so that's the intention of the layer with it. You got to think of this as two-dimensional layers and depth with it as well. So this concept is universal across anything that you do. So later on, if you have audio editing with it, same thing. They record multiple tracks. We call tracks. Just here it's called layers. So tracks are sitting on top of another track. That also comes out very, very harmoniously in harmony with it as well. So think of it as tracks, or in this case we're doing graphics. They're called layers with it. You have different icons up here with it. So this is what's called a keyframe, auto keyframe insert with it. I want to talk to you about more about that with it. When you're animating things and when things are switched from one to another, like you see in the doll. Here you're going to be a little bit more complicated. We're going to work with the skeleton of this graphics right here. Now, in most game engine or most graphic engine, there's three types of engines. One is the skeleton engine, and this is one of the main things that you're going to work about, is the skeleton engine with it, right? It's how rigid and how fluid the skeleton of the engine is. The second one is the physics engine, all right, with it. So the physics engine deals with a lot of animations, sprites and fireworks, or how things are rendering with it. And the third part of the game engine or animation is the audio engine with it as well. So three engines with it. First is graphics, second one is the physics, and the third is the audio. Now in here, it's nice for you just to learn very simple basic with it. So great way to learn 2D animation is using Animate with this as well. Anyways, let's come down here. Let me just get started with this right now. I'm 8 minutes into this right here, and that's what I want to talk to you about, is a preface and having an understanding of how things how things work around here with it as well. So this is what we're doing with it. I'm sorry, but I'm rambling on 8 minutes of concepts here with it. But let's get started with animating our octopus here. First of all, I just want to point out is that this octopus. When I said octopus, you're supposed to have like 8 tentacles, right? So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's only 7 tentacles there. I don't know. I was born. I was growing up with understanding is most octopus have 8. This thing has only 7. I don't know if it's an octopus or a squid. So whatever it is, it's looks like a jellyfish squid. How's that? All right. So let's just deal with 7 for now with it. So don't send me an email or ask me why does this thing have only 7 on there. I don't know the answer to that. All right. So I don't know if it does have 8 or not. Right. But anyways, again, we're working on this right now with it. So let me click on next on this one right here, and we need to do what's called the asset warp tool, which is this little pin right here. This is very, very unique because what it actually breaks up all these graphics here into shapes, what's called polygon. And from every shapes in graphics, whether it's 2D or 3D, they're shapes like in triangles. All right. and they're small triangular shapes that they form together, and they're polygon shapes to it as well, to make a round surface with it. So click on that. When you come over here and you see this push pin icon, it's called the Asset Warp tool. You click on it, right? So, and then it's going to show you is that you, after you click on it, you come over to your octopus over here, and you want to click to the body of the tentacles with it, and then you click off of it. So let me start doing that. So I'm going to click on right the center of the eyebrow, all right? And if you notice, the moment I do that, a lot of the triangular shapes that pops up with it, it breaks it down with it. So I want you to click on down to the base of the tentacle, which is about right here. All right, and then I'm going to click off of it just to deactivate it, and then I'm going to click it again, and then I want on it on the same point, and then I'm going to come down here to the close as as much as possible to the tentacles like this. So it looks like this. So let me do it again. I click off of it, and then I'll come back, click on the square, and then I come down and click on the base of the tentacle, and then I click off of it. I come back, I click on the base of the tentacle and draw it down to the kind of like the later 1/3 of the tentacle. I click off of it, I click at the base of the square, come down to the base of the tentacle, and draw it down to here. So why is this? Why do you have to actually come off and on again with it? One is you're deselecting, and you want it to actually to look like, if I didn't, you see how this thing kind of draw and expects to draw more with it. So if I come off of the image, okay, and it deselects it. So I come back in, selecting at where the main point is. The rectangle is the main point. I come down and draw it with that. So that's like a pivoting point with it, and then I come down, I click off of it. I want it to click back where the base of it is and come down to that part. Click off of it, and then click on to this, the pivoting point, click on the base, click off of it, come back to the base, and click down to the tentacles with it. Now this is the same concept where you're going to repeat across all 7 tentacles here. Base, click off of it, and click on it, so click off of it. Here's that base, click off of it. Now, one of the things I want to point out is, that's the last one. So it's getting almost 15 minutes here with it. So I want to stop the video, but before I do that, I want to just briefly talk to you about what's going on here. This rectangle is like the pivoting point. All right, that's the main skeletal with it as well. Everything that you see here, it's like, think of it like they're pivoting point. They're kind of like hinges, okay, on a door. So they swing, all right, 360. All right. But the square and the circles are different with it. We're about to convert all of this in a second with it. All right. So this is just a good way how to rig a lot of this stuff with it. All what we're doing right now is called rigging. Rigging. All right. This is a concept of a different concept of rigging on computers with it. Matter of fact, a lot of these concepts at Disney, Pixar, they use this type of rigging all the time with it. Anyways, this concludes the part 1. I want to start the second half in a second, okay?